I'm Pablo Torre, and this episode of Pablo Torre Finds Out is brought to you by Remy Martin 1738 Accord Royale. Exceptionally smooth cognac for all your game day festivities. Please drink responsibly, because today we're going to find out what this sound is.
Can I get an amen?
I am very excited to do this. Please allow a moment of sincerity. We have not done this enough. Domonique, David, at a table together.
I
with
refuse
me.
to allow a moment of sincerity. I instead would like to continue mocking you for chasing around Jordan Hudson and somehow claiming that you deserve a Peabody.
I didn't tell you this. I was sitting with Pablo right as a People magazine article came out with his mug on it, on the thumbnail of it. And what I saw, and I said this to you at the time, so we're here amongst almost sort of friends, and you could tell this warm aura of invincibility flow over him like some sort of mucus when he was on People.com. And the irony is he walks around the studio talking about Murrow and talking about serious journalism. Peabody's, right? So I'm wondering whether Pablo and I meant this. This I didn't ask you before. Are you going to put that as part of now your elevator speech about PTFO? Because you mentioned, obviously, all the awards.
You're asking, are we folding it into our awards budget?
Exactly.
Which has somehow gotten smaller since we won the awards.
I don't mean
a very curious thing.
He's saying,
are we going to do that
like
now
when
today?
you're advertising the show,
Correct.
are you going to say, like, I won this, I won that, and I was on People?
I was on, yeah.
I have a question for you, though. Do you believe...
More questions are there?
No, this is a kind question. Do you believe that your ego is any bigger and your desire for this type of recognition is any bigger than anyone else's, or you think you're right in the middle, but you're more honest about it?
Right. Let's rank our egos. Can we do that? Can we power rank?
It's going to be a tie for first in this room. There is no shortage of ego in this room.
Nope.
It just manifests itself in different ways.
Yeah. For instance, you walked into the office today and you had a paper bag full of some stuff. And you had your sneakers on, your multicolored sneakers on, and you had what else do you have?
Well, it was a sandwich and some chips and a ginger ale because we did all this for Domonique.
Mm-hmm. See,
and so I drove 2.5 for this show, and now I'm driving back 2.5 just to do this because this was your only window. This is what I was told. And
you
let me
fell
tell
for
you,
this lie.
This better be Pablo.
I'm sorry.
Pablo.
I'm sorry. It was completely
my
true.
Credibility
Completely
is paramount
true.
to me
Completely
and
true.
my episodes.
Completely true.
Please fact check yourself, Domonique.
It's completely true.
We together said, David, we want to do this in person. There's going to be a moment of sincerity even. And it's just going to require you to be here in person. And David drove 2.5.
Well, I asked for all sorts of other windows of opportunities to do it, and Domonique was a no on every one of them.
Well, Domonique came from D.C.
It's okay. If you guys manipulated me, it's fine. I got in the car and I did it.
No one has been manipulated. It's just all honesty and truth between us.
We're ruining the moment of sincerity.
It passed for me.
It's gone.
I mean,
there is no sincerity.
Gone. I've been thinking a lot about you. I haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see you.
You too. When are male friends sincere? How often does that happen? I've gotten better with it as an adult, but most of the time I just roast my friends and they know that means that I love them.
Right. Should we each say one sincere, nice thing about each other?
No.
I don't think that's interesting.
Okay, great.
Oh, God.
Who?
I wasn't ready. It's 1, 2, 3, Brett, about raising. We just
don't guilt us into yelling at you for
it
picking
really
up
is
the phone.
Brett. We're announcing today our new charitable endeavor because after all these years, they still haven't cured Parkinson's. It's unbelievable that they haven't. So we have to keep doing these athletic events.
Domonique, do you see what happens when we get us in a room together?
What's the highest level of science you made it to?
10th grade.
So
that's true. I don't know why
I
you're
don't know.
laughing. Do you have a cure for Parkinson's?
I don't, but I recognize that it's probably hard. And I'm not out here like, man, these motherfuckers better hurry up. I've been waiting all day like you ordered a sandwich from a deli.
Michael J. Fox, when he started his foundation, said that he expects to be out of business within a decade.
So
Didn't quite happen that way. And
You know
not
what?
for lack of us
You
raising...
know what? If I may have yet a third moment of sincerity, because now we had that one, and that's like obviously sincere. The third moment of sincerity.
He thinks that
Dude,
he's
you know
ordering
what?
a cure for
Domonique,
Parkinson's
Domonique.
like it's a goddamn chopped cheese. What is going on? Like,
You know
I've been
what?
waiting for 10 years.
I am not waiting anymore. Had it. Anyway, it's been quite telling since we were all last together in Miami that Pablo has just shot himself out of a cannon, and it's all due to the Ring camera. And
Okay, it's not just that. We do 3 episodes a week.
I would like to ask, though, on the shirt issue, because this was important to me, and we had
What's the
a
shirt?
creative issue.
No, I agree. I think I know where you're going, and I agree with you.
You agree that the shirt should have been off?
Yeah.
100%. Now, if you had
Everybody behind the glass
Domonique's
is now
body, would you have
yelling.
had shirt off?
So I had.
Because he also is very soft.
Hey,
Well, okay.
A little squishy.
Listen, I have
I
been
am
doing
too, but-
Parkinson's races in which I complain about Parkinson scientists, but I am somebody who, I'm still in my fighting weight.
Mm.
It's just redistributed.
It is disturbing when I realize that fighting weight is light heavyweight. I was like, have boxers always been this small?
Yes.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
What
yeah.
a heavyweight boxer weighs. To answer your question, if I had Domonique's breasts, yeah, I would have
thought
showed
so
them
too.
off.
He claimed it was a journalism decision.
Yeah, I don't want to be the look. I need
But I
to.
think it was a chess
I need to
decision.
preserve some element of credibility, and I think that was again, as we say on Dominique's show, we have to thread the coward's needle. And I believe that my threading of the coward's needle was, I'm going to do this, but I just can't be so much of the story, actually, by having... Okay.
That is so ridiculous.
I regret the moments of sincerity.
Can you pull up a photo of Lenny Kravitz at 61? It just got released. He looks
looks good.
amazing. Now,
Lenny Kravitz?
looks unbelievable.
So,
He did it-
okay, so we should talk about
PEDs?
this.
What we doing?
it's not normal. He has a full six-pack
Nice.
at 61.
Good for him.
No, but it
whoa,
can't be
wow.
natural. Are you looking at the same thing that I recently saw last week or
This is
something?
like Men's Health.
Lenny's ripped.
Now, is
Lenny's
that
ripped.
natural?
Probably not.
You can't.
But I mean, I feel like it's a lot of that in Hollywood. They don't. There's no P-man in Hollywood who's coming around testing you. Like,
There's no P-man at Avengers headquarters.
yeah,
actors say they did. Will Smith talked
Yeah.
about it with
they go up and
with
down.
Ali.
For movies, I'm
I
sure
wanted
they
to do an episode about this actually for a long time. Like, why are all these actors ripped now? So if you watch, certainly you watched White Lotus, they're just like, everybody's jacked. I'm like, your character does not require you to be obsessively working out. You're not a former NFL player trying to reclaim former glory. Why are you exercising?
The irony, of course, is that you can add abs in post.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a budget for post-production, which some shows have and some don't, but you can add stuff. And so you don't actually need to look that way in real life. So I don't know why there's all of a sudden...
I would imagine that they aren't adding stuff for people whose character doesn't need it, right? Like, so to Pablo's point, the White Lotus guys, they probably just...
one is Schwarzenegger. I assume that he's
But
just
the
big
season
from
before, there
genetics.
was a dude who was like the founder of a tech company, and he was like, this part Asian dude, and he was like clearly not required to be jacked. And that guy was, again, a guy whose shirt I would take off if I was him.
I'm embarrassed of my body.
Why?
Because it's not a good body. I don't have a good body.
I mean, fortunately, nobody cares.
Well, I do, but I do.
Well, I think I would say that on the power rankings of people who are older than they look, Lenny Kravitz, ESPN announcer Mark Jones.
Oh, ageless.
Ageless. Mark Jones was at last check in his 60s.
Also has more pop culture references than me.
63.
He's much
internet
closer,
fluent.
Yeah, he's much closer to the meme game than your boy.
And David Samson's on that list.
I'm doing well from the neck up.
Mm.
I have slight concerns about
You know what I
neck
think
down.
is interesting is like the changing to this point. It feels like the ideas around like plastic surgery, which is it's only reasonable that over time as it has been around because it feels like when we were young, it felt relatively new. Like the idea of getting enhancements and whatever, it was a big deal if someone had breast implants. It was like, oh my gosh, look at this breast implants. And like it's been around long enough now that I feel like we're getting to a point where the type of person that is going to get things like the idea that men get height surgeries and that's like an extreme version of it. But like I know people who've gotten their hair transplant and it's like
To go to Turkey?
Yeah, no, I mean you only go to Turkey.
Turkey's the place.
You only go to Turkey to get it cheap, though, right? You can get it in the
it's
States.
quality.
Oh, it's better
The
quality.
best quality is Turkey for hair and for veneers, actually.
Oh, nice.
Huh. Why is that?
I assume they
Future
stayed at
episode.
a Holiday Inn Express, but whatever the reason is that people save their money to go to Turkey to get it, and then they come back with plugs. I don't get the whole thing.
Why not? I mean, you see, I don't understand how you don't get it. Like it's,
You've never contemplated getting your legs broken and then extended and then healed over so that you could be 3 inches taller?
So I was short, and I will tell you exactly what I did
We're
do.
doing that as a past tense.
I am short, thank you. Appreciate that, Domonique. Thank you for your phlegmy-filled laugh of disdain.
It's not disdain.
It's more contempt. That's fine.
It's a good joke. I'm being a good teammate.
I hung from
When
a
people
bar.
Michael Jordan did that.
And I would spend more time than I wish to acknowledge. So there's a bar in my doorway in the apartment where I grew up. I grew up in a room, in a bedroom, and it's like a expandable stick that is supposed to be used for pull-ups and push-ups. But I didn't do it for that. I did it. I put it high, so there was no way to, just so my fingers would fit right above it, and that's it. And I would hang, and I mean like
How
for
long?
hours.
Oh my God.
Weirdly. And because
The adverb was unnecessary.
I had been told that it actually works.
I remember Come Fly With Me. I assume that you guys are familiar with this tape by Michael Jordan where nobody in his family is close to 6'6", and he said that he saw an episode of the Brady Bunch. As you can tell, I watched Come Fly With Me far too many times. That episode of the Brady Bunch where someone did this, and he said that he did it. He doesn't suggest that that's the reason why he's tall, but he said that when he was young, he wanted to be tall, and he tried it.
So when you hang from the bar, the idea is that the gravity extends your spine. That's the whole thing?
It's nothing. So what it did is I would my arms would be sore.
Right.
So, but I would do it because what I thought, because I had been told by coaches, like in middle school and in elementary school, that after the sore is where the improvement comes. So I always felt like I had to get to the arms hurting, and then I had to hang on even longer because that's when the growth would happen. I also slept always on my stomach with my toes over the bottom of the bed. And so I wasn't near the top of the mattress, but I would go to the bottom of the mattress because I had read as a kid, so it may have been written by Dr. Seuss, that if you sleep on your front with your legs extended, toes over the bed, that while you're sleeping, your legs grow too.
Man, we could have made so much money off of a young David Samson.
These aren't costly fixes.
But we could have sold you
but
some of
he's saying
those
that you
shoes,
could have, like,
those dunk shoes. Remember those dunk shoes?
Oh, yeah, I remember those. My parents wouldn't buy me the dunk shoes, but I did buy a parachute to get faster when I was young.
Of course you did.
It was great.
Did you run with it behind you?
Yeah, of course.
That's funny.
Hold on, was it a parachute for the purpose of NFL prospect training, or was it a generic parachute that you were like, I think this is going to do the job?
Well, I think I saw somebody using a parachute on TV, and so I was like, yeah, I think this is going to do the job. And, I mean, the funny thing is I had this conversation. I did another podcast recently, and I was talking about how it wasn't until I was, like, in my mid-20s that I realized that I believed that hard work was, like, much more important to my success than, like, the genetic makeup. And I was like, I would look around at other people like, you're just not working hard enough. It's like,
Get your nurture up, son.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think that there are incremental gains, obviously, but fundamentally, I was, like, born. Like, just...
Now you're Team Nature?
Sounds like it.
I mean, there is some nurture aspect, but what you can't do is work your way into being an athlete. Like you can make yourself a better athlete.
Oh, David's frowning thoughtfully.
So I believe that the increment, you have to have natural ability,
Right.
but I think the differentiating factor is the hard work you put in, which would count for purposes of this conversation as nurture.
Right. No, I don't disagree with you. But I'm saying that if you are born from a couple of non-athlete parents, no matter how hard you work,
What if
ain't gonna change.
what if I hung on a bar for a really long time?
I find it hilarious that David kind of turned his nose up at people getting hair transplants when clearly if you
There's a big difference between plastic surgery, transplants, and hanging from a bar. That's au naturel. I didn't
Well-
take testosterone. By the way, I didn't take any of the stuff,
Yeah.
the growth hormone.
Yeah,
the
Leo
kids,
Messi got some HGH and
Kids do it all the time.
grew, I guess, minimally, but enough.
they do all the time. That's a new thing.
Yes, it is a
Really?
huge thing.
Even
So
without like any sort of like ailment that would require it, they're just getting on HGH.
the fight that we had with our son, because I'm short still, and my wife at the time was short. Well, not average for a woman, but he was worried
Right.
because his older sisters were short. So he was panicked
Mm-hmm.
and he wanted to go on the juice. And he had friends on the juice who had other small Jewish parents.
With
And
what?
we said no.
With what intent? Just
To-
like
to
general
grow.
walking around.
No, what?
That
yeah. It
to
wasn't.
grow.
It wasn't to be an athlete. It was
No.
to
To grow.
yeah.
And you go to doctors who they chart you and they say, hey, you're going to end up being around 5'5", around your dad's height. And he wanted to be 5'10", and so he wanted to go on the juice. We said no. And by the way,
For the YouTube audience, Domonique
other
high-fived.
similar parents said yes, which made us look even worse. Because
But he appreciates you now.
hard to tell.
Yeah.
Did you speak to him in the
We
language
got to
of?
get some of those kids to get sick, man. We need those kids to start passing out. we got
Oh yeah, get some therapeutic use exemptions.
to get them kids to start passing out so you can say, see.
I'm not wishing his best friends ill.
Need a little.
I
they
will
need to be
say-
fine.
Just gotta lose consciousness for a second.
So we watched it on sleepovers. These kids would come over to the house for sleepovers with stuff that had to be refrigerated, and they had to shoot
Oh my
themselves
God.
during sleepovers. This is the real deal. They
Oh,
were.
I
And they were
believe you.
still terrible at basketball.
This was not. Yes,
All
this
right,
was
these
not
guys-
done to be good at basketball.
I know, but I'm just saying you couldn't get some residual hooping skills or something. Get a little bit of.
Their parents were Jewish bankers.
So that's why we get.
I thought you just said that you can't.
I
I thought we just
I-
went over that.
no.
you can't-
My point is like in the higher levels, like you're not going to work your way from being an average athlete to being a pro level athlete. But you're a high school kid shooting some testosterone in your in your butt. Like I feel like you should be able to whoop some high school ass.
It's HGH actually.
Oh, HGH, well,
which
yeah.
is safer,
I,
allegedly.
I would view all of it. We were a no to all of it.
Did you, when you
It's good
told,
parenting. Good job.
when you parented, did you speak, because you come from the world of baseball as former president of the Marlins, a team that I presume, by the way, at some point in the course of your oversight, encountered cases where it was like, I think this guy's doing something. I think
Oh, we knew our guys were doing it. Yeah. No, I came from the land of being short. And I said to my son, I'm short and I'm great. Like you're going to be fine. You have to own it and learn to deal with things. Stand on your tippy toes during photos. There's just things you can do to try to maximize your 65 inches. But he didn't want that. The irony, of course, is he ended up being 5'8" or 5'9".
Nice.
I would high five him
naturally.
if he was here.
Yeah.
So he's doing fine. Yeah, I don't know if you've met him. It's Caleb. He's great.
Yeah.
But it's just a funny thing what parents do. When I was growing up and I was not on the growth chart, when I'd go to the doctor, it was very stressful with Dr. Malashak, where they would chart where you are before each school year. And I was always, 10 percentile. And you're hoping for the growth spurt because the doctor says you're going to have a growth spurt. It's going to be because my father wasn't short and it never came. And so those were always such anxiety-producing appointments.
I'm just getting a sense of David's origin story when it comes to his deep distrust of doctors and scientists.
It's going to happen. Screw
We're gonna
you,
get a
man.
cure. It's happening.
It really is such a scam, isn't it? All
So-
these diseases
so
that they're
before we-
going to
okay,
cure.
hold on.
No, it's not.
it's-
I mean, maybe it is. I don't know, but I assume it's not.
This is not the kind of live to tape episode I wanted to have where we are questioning the profession of my parents, incidentally, who did do something to me as a kid where they put a lock on the power cord of the television.
So you couldn't watch TV.
So I couldn't watch TV.
Nice.
I was born in the darkness, raised in it, molded by it.
My parents undid the cable. At apartments, cable comes in through one outlet.
Yep.
And so when they'd be out, all the TVs wouldn't work. And there were no computers, no anything.
Right.
And so I would spend, just to screw them, I would spend the entire time searching the apartment looking for any way to watch TV. And I found in one of their closets behind the French francs and Swiss francs, which I didn't steal because I was far more interested in a little hurricane-ready battery 4-inch black and white TV. And so I would take that out of the closet and I'd watch it while they were out just to screw them because they wouldn't let me watch TV.
What were you watching back at that
Well,
time?
there were 3 channels. I mean, anything. It didn't matter to me.
You were watching Howdy Doody.
It was victory.
There's so many. You almost every sentence you utter just has so many avenues to go down.
I like the European currency personally.
Yeah, it's like,
the fun
he said I didn't
cul-de-sac.
steal it. What you gonna do with it, David?
Go to the bank and exchange it.
What? So I guess
The Adventures of Lil David Samson, like it's Muppet Babies, by the way, just going to the bank with some Swiss francs.
French francs before the euro. It was French francs. And I would say, "Excuse me, can I exchange?"
His voice is
100
exactly
francs?
the same. Lil David Samson is exactly the same voice.
I don't know what you did as children.
He's
But
marginally smaller.
I watch TV. I wasn't abused like you guys. Watch TV and got girls, man. I think about that a lot when I'm like raising my kids about like, what am I overreacting to? And is it appropriate to overreact to it? Because like the not watching TV thing, I don't imagine that either of you would unplug the TVs when your kids were home.
We monitor screen time,
Right.
but we are not trying to put locks on.
And so
That's what we
I think
did.
that's probably like AI probably falls in that category now where it's like I'm vigilant about my kids in
How?
school. I mean, not using it, right? So
So
not
they know.
using AI.
they really don't have much interest in playing with it. It's like just interest in using it to help them with their schoolwork. And it's like, you can't do that, but like obvious, or it seems obvious to me that by the time they are in the workforce, it's going to be something that it'll be better to be good at than
Yes.
not, which is like,
So then why don't you allow them to
right. I know,
use
that's
it?
what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because I believe that there are skills that you need to develop, like writing and like reading and summarizing things yourself. Like those things are skills that I think you need to develop. Maybe they won't need to develop them. It's like how I'm not sure how important typing's going to be going forward.
It's
Oh,
not even
boy.
taught anymore.
Right, yeah. And
Cursive
that's
is
just-
not taught anymore.
Well, penmanship, let alone typing.
Right.
Remember, I mean, God, right? Kids today will never know the pain of trying to write a cursive Z.
People don't recognize what that is.
I don't.
If you
I
show
barely
that,
recognize it.
You can't predict it, and I think that like you guys would both. It seems like you attribute some of your academic success to the fact that your parents forced you to avoid TV, right?
Yeah. By the way, the typing thing is interesting because one of my superpowers is fast typing, and that is now increasingly obsolete because
And so you became an intellect in part because you weren't allowed to watch TV, and David learned to scheme and scam. They're like, we're gonna take the cords, and he was like, I'm gonna look around and try to sneak and steal some stuff. And so you
I
guys
was always doing the workaround.
David
There
was
is-
burgling his own home.
You happen to be 100% accurate, and I'm not the only kid who goes through his parents' stuff looking for things.
Oh yeah,
obviously.
it's Christmas time every year. Christmas time.
But I was not interested in some of the things like little maquettes.
What's that?
Little sculptures, like a little Henry Moore maquette, like a little sculpture this big that you could just, whatever. So no,
Raised by international spies, literally, is what I'm getting so
It
far.
What I was
sounds like they have
interested
Franks
in-
and maquettes.
was the little TVs.
Just a Walther PP7 with a silencer.
Does sound like weapons.
Some RCP-90. I'm just naming GoldenEye weapons now.
You shouldn't need to find out what a maquette is. It's a pretty well-known word.
No, it's not.
I've
I've never heard
You've
maquette.
never heard the word
Never
maquette?
heard maquette.
Hold on, let me just go.
It sounds like a knick-knack to me.
No, a knick-knack.
A little bit paddywhack.
I mean,
it's a year's worth of salary for the three of us. Is what them knickknacks
A
are.
maquette is a small three-dimensional model or preliminary sketch of a larger piece of art, such as a sculpture or building. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So it's basically
I wasn't making it up.
No.
oh no, we didn't think you were making it up. I just never heard of a maquette before.
What this is, though,
Sound like McDonald's meal.
it's kind of like a Happy Meal version of a rich guy's favorite thing.
They're very valuable.
You were
in their own
hamburger.
right. They're very interesting pieces of art and pieces of sculpture. They're wonderful to live with. But my point was different, is that I always knew at a young age how to maximize my time to get exactly what I wanted. And what I wanted was to not give them the last word and me having to do my homework all night, or phone time was a big thing.
Yeah.
Where I didn't have a cell phone, obviously. So I'd be on the phone trying to be popular with a girl or a guy, and then all of a sudden your mom gets on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And that because she would set a time.
Right.
And I don't know how she knew when the 6 minutes was up, but somehow, I don't know if she was counting down.
So
6 minutes per call.
What was she afraid of?
6 minutes.
She was just like, we can't have David having friends.
Minute 7.
Like
Well, I was never allowed to have sleepovers.
But I guess I understand, while I may not agree wholeheartedly with the TV idea, I understand why they'd be like, all right, you can't watch TV unlimited. Like, that makes sense. I don't understand why you can't talk to friends. Was
There's
it
just
just
homework to do.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't about, if you had finished your homework, she would let you talk.
There's always, I never was able to, because then there's a book report or a book to read or an extra thing to do.
You went to a very fancy school.
Do you ever think about the cost? Because like it feels like both you guys see these experiences as being beneficial, but nothing comes without a price. Do you think that there was a cost to being raised in that way, like a negative?
Do you? I mean, I find myself I have friends now, one or two or a half.
Nice.
And so, no, I think that the benefit of the disciplined life I had is it made me disciplined.
I would say that I'd probably be less enamored of weed as an adult if I was not sort of like told to, be at the other end of the spectrum when it came to just like
I generally
discipline.
think that this is not just true of this conversation about the things that impact us, but just overall, I think that we often want to make a domino-style cause and effect to the things that happen in our lives because we like to tell stories in movies and TV shows and all that stuff. Is like we want to be able to tell that story. But oftentimes, I think the results of things that we think are because of one thing are not at all because of that. So like get back to the point of saying that like I thought that my hard work made me an athlete until I realized that like, my hard work made me an NFL player, but like I was always going to be a better athlete than most people. I'm guessing that David, your disposition is probably that of someone who is more prone to discipline because we could have these situations. I remember with my wife, with our kids, like I was pretty strict early on about like what they were eating and how much sugar was around. And she was like, well, what's just going to happen is then they're going to get out into the world and then they'll be free to eat a whole bunch of sugar. And I just like, well, actually, I don't think we know how any of this will impact them. Like this could lead to someone who's like incredibly disciplined because they had a disciplined upbringing, or we could tell the other story where it's like, oh, I was so disciplined with that. Then you get out of the house. What that crack talking about? let me holler at a couple of them rocks. Like I don't know. I just think that we want to be able to explain things.
I like that
we may
Lifetime
not.
movie though. What that crack talking about?
I was allowed candy from October 31st to Thanksgiving Day. Was it during the year? Because you'd go
Right.
Thanksgiving, then you'd have to pour the bag out, then it would be gone through by your parents. They'd take out everything that was not wrapped, obviously, because it has razor blades in it, so I was told. I don't know if anyone else heard that story. It was
I
the
heard
old
it.
one.
Never actually saw it happen.
Neither have I.
Never actually had a friend who got that razor blade candy.
It's a lot of effort to put razor blades in an apple, but I'm fine, whatever it is. And then one a night. And so anything over, let's say Thanksgiving's November 24th, you get 25 pieces of candy. The 31st and then through November 24th, and then the rest gets thrown away.
So, and now you obviously are, from what I understand,
A candy addict.
so why do you think that candy discipline resulted in you becoming an addict and the no phone discipline resulted in you becoming a nerd?
I'm not a nerd.
I mean, I don't know how you would call it.
I am not a nerd. I'm a
Okay,
lot
not
of
a-
things.
Well,
not a
let's live in this definition for a second. What to you?
Or discipline. I'm sorry. You said disciplined, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, you're not. Those aren't synonyms.
No, they aren't synonyms. I was thinking about Pablo,
Okay.
honestly.
I don't find him nerdy either.
Thanks.
Do you think you're nerdy?
Well, so that's why I wanted to live in for a second.
It's all
Is that-
relative, baby.
Okay. Compared to what NFL bound 36,
6.
Domonique's screen name growing up, classified, self-classified as
That was
jock.
my
That's so
screen name.
awesome. Give me some. That, and
What
you
else?
made it happen? I love that.
It was my
I know
screen
you
name.
do.
It was my Black Planet page name.
We're still looking for that.
Wow.
We're still looking for the archive of Domonique's Black Planet profile.
Did you wear 36?
My first year, so I graduated from high school early and went to Maryland early. And so the spring, I had 36. And then training camp came and I got 6. But yeah, that was so it was when I had 36.
See, I love that. That may be the coolest story you've ever told me about yourself.
What?
Ooh, I got some stories, boy. Turn these mics off, doggy. We used to go to Vegas. Oh, whoa.
How many Franks were involved?
Man, you can't
Bubba?
imagine what I could do with a
Franks.
maquette.
Not a oh God.
What's it called?
Maquette.
Oh,
A
you
maquette.
hey, it's a maquette to you. It's a maquette to me, boy.
David, did you have a screen name?
No. How would you, with what screen?
AIM. It was
AOL Instant
AOL,
Messenger or
yeah.
America Online. Did you ever have to come up with a code name for yourself?
I stayed in hotels when I was president of the team under Jay Trotter.
nice.
That was my name.
Jay Trotter.
Why?
That's the lead character in Let It Ride. Jay Trotter, played by Richard Dreyfuss.
Right. I don't think I've ever seen that
Will-
movie.
And so I
This
was.
image that I look up from the movie be in black and white.
Jay Trotter?
No, it's Let It Ride from like
Okay.
1991. It's a great movie.
89.
How
But-
tall is Jay Trotter?
Richard Dreyfuss is not a tall guy
Okay.
in real life. But, the players, I don't know, did you use a pseudonym
No.
at team hotels? But
No.
you guys are always in for one night.
Yeah.
Or
I
one
mean,
night
we
only.
didn't have the same situation as you guys. It was like the hotel was pretty much
No one was trying to poison your food?
no. I mean,
It's not about that. It's about the phone calls.
I don't
would
think
come in.
that. So like the team would have the hotel. So I'm not sure that any of our names were on not the
Oh.
whole hotel
Oh.
all the time, but sometimes. But I'm not sure that any of our names were on specific rooms. And there'd be security, so no one was let into the hotel out. Because like you mentioned, it wasn't like you guys who were on the road trip. We come in, land at like 4:00 the day before, play a football game, and don't return to the hotel. So like we spend one night there and fly out. So it's not the same.
So it's a
situation.
whole Megillah when you check into a hotel with the baseball team because it's a lot of rooms, much like football, but you're there for a much longer period of time. And you don't have the whole hotel. So there are people around.
Yeah.
But pre-cell phone, the way you'd reach players is through their hotel phone.
Mhm.
Literally, like, hey, connect me to room,
so
1269. So you had to have a manifest of where everyone was. So we'd get 2 manifests, one with the names that were with the pseudonyms, and then one with the key, meaning who,
Yeah.
what,
The decoder.
the
ring.
decoder. So then the traveling secretary, the manager, or the GM would know how to reach everybody.
Our hotels were always, I would imagine, much more boring than baseball or any other sport hotel because we were in and out. We had curfews. It was ran a very tight ship, and I imagine that you guys don't do. Like I know basketball players. I don't know very many baseball players, but you're there for so long that they live their own lives. So I imagine you guys have much better stories than that. Like the most fun stories we had is somebody just didn't show up to the game or skip curfew or something like that. It wasn't anything that interesting.
Never you.
Nah, I didn't start drinking until I was 35.
Did you know that about him?
We're funny. I didn't start drinking until I was 31.
We're a bunch of
Nice.
nerds. I got bad news, guys. We're nerds.
Yeah.
Wait, do you not drink now?
I drink so much less now,
Okay.
but I socially and happily enjoy it.
The thing about hotels I find with players is that they get very comfortable because they know they're going to be there 3 nights, 4 nights, whatever. So they move into the room. And it used to be when I was younger, players used to share a room. And that was a huge collective bargaining issue when they wanted their own rooms because it doubled the cost. But you had grown-ass men who were sharing,
Yeah, high school debate tournament style, baby.
and these are professional athletes. I assume the NFL was like that too. in the 70s and 80s.
Oh, probably, yeah. I'm sure. The NFL is notoriously cheap. They probably were like that in the 70s and 80s. It wasn't training camp, my rookie year training camp. I shared a room on the preseason games, but excuse me, after that, we were all by ourselves. I imagine college we share rooms.
Even the top schools like Alabama.
Road roommates was a thing.
I don't
right?
know. I can't speak for them, but it may have changed now. But when I was in college, we shared rooms, which that led to more interesting stories.
I remember we did an episode with Nate Tice, who was Russell Wilson's road roommate at Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. Which is to say that, this is a proud tradition that even,
Yeah, maybe things have changed now that it seems to be even more and more money in college sports. But yeah, that was, and when you're a college kid, your decision-making is a little bit inhibited. Not that when you get to NFL, all of a sudden it gets better, but me and my roommate definitely had friends over sometimes, which was not a smart idea.
What's the tennis movie that we just watched? And I'm totally blanking.
With Zendaya?
I'm so upset. Challengers.
I haven't seen it.
That's good.
There's a fantastic threesome scene.
I heard about that.
With the two.
I heard people complain that it was not.
They didn't actually pay it off.
Yeah, that it wasn't as exciting as they had sold it to be.
Oh, the payoff was her payoff.
You liked it?
David is squirting way too much.
I feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. It's a great scene.
No. I'm uncomfortable with how excited you are because I haven't seen the scene, so I don't know how to react. I don't know if I should be agreeing with you or...
You didn't like the payoff?
You're Zendaya in the visual of this. Yeah, you're sitting in between two people who are ever closer.
I am obviously...
Who are trying to be close to you. And you can do spoiler alerts for that movie. It's a
I
year
think
old.
so.
Right.
They're trying to do a threesome.
Right.
And they all want to be with her, and she wants them to be with themselves.
Is it trying to do a threesome? Is that the verb?
I think you have them.
Trying to have a threesome, be a threesome.
I don't think you do them.
I say, well, you do them. And the payoff for her was that they got all dressed up and ready to go, and then she said, "Good night, boys," and left the room. That's a pretty powerful payoff.
That is a figurative payoff. Let's rank our worst decisions. David, you go first.
Oh, gosh.
My worst decision was going public with the fact that one of the things we used to tell our players was to pleasure themselves before checking into their road hotel.
Oh.
Because I thought that it would make them get in trouble less. And so
Domonique and I did an episode about post-nut clarity.
Yes, you did.
And this is the same philosophy.
It was the same philosophy, and it should have been kept in-house.
Yeah, I feel like, hey guys, can you just jack off real quick? Feels like an HR thing.
Right. So I would have done it differently. I don't disagree with why I did what I did, and I don't disagree with the results. I think we only had like 3 or 4 arrests in 18 years. Not terrible. So...
Oh, you stand by the science of it.
Exactly. About 30 divorces, 3 or 4 arrests, a few restraining orders, just a Tuesday.
3 or 4 arrests.
Gosh.
Think if they hadn't jacked off.
It would have been even more. I agree.
Man.
So the players were like, okay.
I mean, I don't think that they were influenced by it. You think?
No.
When you went public with this, where did this go public?
So I was giving either a speech. I was
YMCA.
I was doing something where the audience just wasn't
Boys and Girls
necessarily
Club
ready for this conversation.
Oh, God.
And I regret doing that.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't
and
view...
That's a pretty... I mean, that's mild as far as
David,
worst decisions
Samson,
are concerned.
Well,
Marlins, speech.
Personally, that's professional.
Master.
Okay, yeah.
You're asking me if I've made bad personal decisions?
Oh, no.
As I sit here divorced? I mean, what do you mean?
That was a great decision.
Which, to get divorced?
And to get married.
I stand by every decision I've made. They're just not all great.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't redo any of them. I don't like people who say, if I had to do it again, I'd do it differently.
Oh, really? Why not?
Because I don't like that. You should think of that before you do it in the first time.
I don't like people who say I have no regrets because this is where I was supposed to be. Like when someone asks you that question, that's the whole point. Is like, I don't know.
I have no regrets. What are your regrets?
You have 0 regrets.
I have myriad mistakes and zero regrets.
So you are fine with telling the YMCA audience that you wanted your players?
It's not ideal, I grant you. You know, I don't love the fact that I went into an all-black church trying to get votes for the stadium, and I stood up there and I said, "Can I get an amen?" I don't love that I did that, but I did.
I didn't know that you did that.
Oh, I gave a whole sermon.
Your mistake is in now telling us that you did that. You should regret telling us that.
I gave a sermon.
What the fuck does that?
I gave a sermon to a major black church in Miami because I needed their support for public money for the ballpark.
So hold on.
I was the only white guy in there.
Jewish.
I am Jewish. I am white.
Like, the white is the second.
How did you? Okay, so because we know, Domonique, that David regrets nothing in terms of his process, even though the outcome may not be what he desired. How did you dress? What was your approach?
So, how I dressed is I went to visit a black tailor.
God.
I said we weren't going to cut anything.
Oh no.
Hold on.
No.
I'm telling you what I did. And I had a suit made for me by Andre Dawson's tailor. So I looked like Andre Dawson, and it was awesome. If you know the Hawk, he's the most impeccable dresser you'll ever meet.
He was probably at Lebitard's wedding, as a pure side note.
Was he really?
Yeah, Andre Dawson.
He is just a wonderful dresser. He was the
Hold on,
coolest guy in the
Andre
world.
Dawson's
I don't think you'll see it on
suits.
Google, but just very, very good dresser.
Oh yeah, we see.
And so
How many buttons did your suit have?
It's the only suit I ever had. It had 6 buttons.
Oh, what year was that?
This was 2008. 2008. And so we needed the votes. So I had
You're a f***ing king of comedy.
But it's not colorful.
I can't even. I had a consigliere who was Cuban, and we had a plan of all the different people we had to get votes from. So we went to the Cubans, we went to the non-Cuban Hispanics.
Guayabera?
100%. I had to go
my
get one
Lord.
personally made, a Guayabera. So I had to wear that to the Cuban
Say that one more time.
I think it's Guayabera. I don't really know how
That's
to
not
say
all
it.
it is, but I appreciate you
It's-
increasing the flexibility of your armpits while you were
You
saying
guys
it.
are funny, but I did give the sermon, and I felt like I had the room enough.
What
and
does a sermon?
It was
mean
about
to
all
you?
the things that this 65-inch white Jewish guy could do for them by having a ballpark built with their money. This is what I will deliver for you.
You were a prosperity gospel panderer.
I was. What's the? This would have been great if I had it right in my head. The guy, the Music Man, and it starts with T, which stands for Trouble, Music City. What's the main character? Hugh Jackman just played him. Oh my God!
No idea.
You really don't know. You don't know either.
Somehow-
Wolverine? I don't know.
So the thing,
Oh, my
you know, David Samson's a method black preacher when he doesn't know the name of the Music Man character. He's
What
like,
is the
Harold
name?
Hill?
Harold Hill.
I-
You never heard that name? Anyway,
So
so I went in and I am trying to explain to this
Wolverine.
large audience about what public funding means. And I'm standing in my suit and in my pointed shoes,
You got pointy shoes.
long pointy shoes that were like size 10
please
and
tell
I'm a
me
size
that the
8.
suit was like black or blue or like a normal dark
I think it was
tan, maybe.
I think it was tan.
Okay, that's straight.
I
That's
think
good.
it was
That's good.
You went Obama.
I didn't.
It was
You went
it was,
6-button Obama.
We should have got
Give me
you
the
a
pointy
church lady hat.
shoes.
It was something.
A
So
fascinator.
it was going great, and I had eyes with my
It was
Cuban
going
consigliere.
great.
It was. So
They were giving you amens.
I
did
had
not?
no. I just had the view that I had their attention. I had the view that they were looking at me as though I was
Right, you
one of them, and so I built up to this crescendo. And I look over at the bishop. His name was Bishop Curry. Bishop Curry was his name in Miami. And I look at the bishop. Then I look out at the audience. I look back at the Cuban consigliere and I look at the crowd. I say, "Can I get an amen?" And then I walked out. And it was awesome. Side note, we
Oh,
got
did they-
all the black commissioner votes.
Did they? Oh, so they did say they said
we got
amen.
'em. Oh, we got the amen. We got the
Oh.
votes. We got it all.
Wow. I was gonna ask you, have you ever been pandered to?
Probably.
You don't know? Like I feel like when I'm being pandered to, I recognize it and I dislike it.
When you're pandered to, does it look like this photo of Bishop Michael Curry? We're gonna put this on the YouTube channel, but this is him.
It's Victor Curry.
Sorry, Victor Curry.
Victor
Not
Curry.
Bishop Curry.
It's Bishop Victor Curry.
Oh. Victor Curry is the author of A Charge to Keep I Have, Fulfilling Your Life's Purpose,
Nice.
which feels like a book that all of us might have read in our most vulnerable moments, hanging from a bar for hours at a time.
You guys, I'm happy to be with you guys again.
Yeah,
you make
it's
me
fun,
think of
man.
things I hadn't thought of in a very, very long time.
How long have we known David and we only now get the
funny
Amen
thing,
story?
whenever we're together, I think David thinks that this is an example of me like pandering to him, but it's not. Whenever we're together, David's always the star. And,
100%.
Of the three of us, people would guess, I would assume, that the least interesting and least entertaining of us would be the former club president, not the people who are on TV for a living or played professional sports. But always, it is always David is somehow the star of the show.
I think we're now coming in tied for second because Pablo is now at a different level. He has left us in the dust.
You talking about old Peabody over here?
Domonique was trying to
I don't
pay
think he'll even
you.
talk to us going forward.
He was
Old
trying
Peabody.
to. I was also about to see David as our Zendaya, and instead,
I
the
had
power
it in my
dynamic
head.
has swung back
I was
around.
setting it up. I knew
We're gonna
this was gonna
Photoshop that. We're gonna have our graphics squad
No, thank you.
Photoshop that.
No, thank you.
It's gonna be really.
It's going to be funny, actually.
Sounds like a waste of graphic squad money.
Hey, listen, welcome to Meadowlark.
At the end of every episode of Pablo Torre Finds Out, even one that is entirely live to tape, I don't think we're making a single edit to this because I want people to understand what it's like for us to sit at a table together, because it is this. What did we find out today, gentlemen?
The snack drawer around here is depressing, boy. I found that out. That made me
Not
sad. I was
relevant
so
to the
hungry.
episode we just did. You just are mad that we didn't have the good
I'm
snacks.
hungry.
At the
And
Metal
it
Arc
takes a
office.
lot of energy to be this entertaining.
I found out that Domonique believes that in order to be a professional athlete, you have to have some sort of nature versus nurture. And I am still thinking about the parents of big leaguers who we had, whose parents were not athletic at all, and they were big leaguers, or the people who like Steffi Graf and Andre Agassi who have kids who may or may not be professional athletes. Michael Jordan's kids. They
Marcus.
tried. They
Yeah.
didn't make it.
My old friend.
I mean, you need to go do some DNA tests on these people who somehow became athletes without a shred of athleticism in there. They might find out something that they don't want to know. Like, go ahead and look at the NFL draft. Go ahead and look at the NBA draft. Them last names get more and more familiar. I think that there was a time when it was different.
No,
but
now
I
it's
don't-
crazy.
It's absurd
crazy now. In
Like,
the NBA,
and
the-
even if you're
yes.
not, even if it's not someone else who played, like your mom was a college athlete, like it just doesn't happen anymore. Where it's just like my dad was a plumber, and I think a part of it is that women's athletics has grown to the point. I think a lot of times the athletic gene could come from your mother. You wouldn't recognize that because there was a time when there was not. Like adequate women's sports. And so you're like, hey, this kid came out of nowhere. He's an athlete. His dad ain't but he can ball. Like, his mom probably was a tremendous athlete but didn't have the opportunity. So I'm guessing that these big leaguers that you talk about, maybe something a little different happening over there.
The most prolific university when it comes to generating NBA draft picks is, in fact, the university of former professional basketball players assembled together as one group. It's crazy how many Nepo athletes there are. We're all kind of Yao Ming being produced by the Chinese government, allegedly.
Yep.
What I found out today is that David Samson has probably rummaged around the drawers in this office and found all sorts of things that are of value to various Europeans.
I mean, he hasn't found that much because I tell you one thing, drawers, it's a shambles. In there. A couple bags of nuts and an empty beef jerky container. What are we doing? It's depressing. It's sad.
There's a maquette of jerky. There's a smaller jerky that stands in for the full-size
Tough
jerky.
times, man.
Yeah, it is tough times, man. And it's jerky. Man, that just reminds me of David Sampson's YMCA story.
This has been Pablo Torre Finds Out, a Meadowlark Media production. and I'll talk to you next time.